This is section 2.3, which is solving for a variable. So what we're going to be doing is looking at equations that have multiple variables and solving for a specific one. So the first thing we're going to do is define literal equation. So a literal equation is an equation or equations that contain two or more variables. Remember, a variable is just a letter that is used to represent something that is unknown, okay? So our next thing is we're going to actually look at a couple examples. So we have a formula for volume. So V equals LWH. So what that really means is volume equals length times width times height. So we want to solve for L. So I want to get that L by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and just rewrite this. So V equals LWH. So right now we can see that the L is being multiplied by WH. So in order to undo the multiplication, we're going to divide. So it looks kind of weird, but it actually is pretty much done. So that means V over WH is equal to L. And that's it. All right, the next one. So we want to solve for W. So we have V equals LWH. And I want to get that W by itself. So still I am multiplying by LH. So I divide by LH on both sides. When I do that, the L and the H cancel out. So you get V divided by LH equals W. And then now you've isolated the W. Okay, let's look at another problem. So this one is density equals mass divided by volume. So density equals M divided by V. So M, if I were to write this out, so D equals M over V. And again, I want to get this M by itself. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of that denominator. So to do that, I'm going to multiply by V. So that will cancel, and then I get V D equals M. And it looks like we have already isolated it. So the next one is going to be on your own. So again, you have D equals M over V. This time you're going to solve for V. So go ahead and pause the video and do it on your own. And now I'm going to go over it. So regardless, I still need to get that V out of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by that V. So now I have VD equals M. But again, I'm still trying to get that V. So in order to undo the multiplying by D, I divide. So we end up getting V equals M divided by D. So this kind of looks like a foreign language in a way because we're just saying random letters. But what you have to focus on is you're just trying to isolate a specific variable. So it does help to kind of highlight it to know that you're trying to get that thing by itself. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and look at a word problem, but it's actually easier than you think because we're just going to be plugging in things. So we know that lead density is 11,340 kilograms per meters cubed. And we know that the volume of a piece of lead is blah, 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 blah. So what is the mass? So let's see. We know the density, we know the volume, but we don't know the mass. So remember, we have a formula with density, volume, and mass, and that is density equals mass over volume. So let's go ahead and plug in what we know. So we know that the density is 11,340, and we know that the mass is unknown, and the volume is 0.0000015, okay? And this is grams per meters cubed, and this is just meters cubed, which means that we'll end up with something grams. So we don't know what that is yet. So in order to get that by itself, what we're going to do is just multiply both sides by that amount. So I multiply both sides by that amount, so that cancels. And then we're going to go ahead and put that in your calculator. I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth. So 11,340 times 0.000015, and you end up getting 0.17 grams. And that's actually kilograms according to the problem. So that should be kilograms. Okay, so all I did was plug in the numbers and then kind of isolated the top, which I was missing. All right, let's go ahead and try. This is our last problem. So this is another just solving for the variable. So again, we have y equals mx plus b. I want to solve for m, okay? So think of this, if they were numbers, what would we do? The first thing I would do is move over the b. So I get y minus b equals mx. Okay. Now in order to get that m by itself, it's being multiplied by x, so I divide by x. So that means y minus b divided by x is equal to m. Okay, so that is everything for section 2.3.